The day had been a disaster. Aria's boss yelled at her, a customer spilled wine on her uniform, and to top it off, she just caught her boyfriend cheating, again. Her fingers trembled with rage as she unlocked her phone, scrolled through her messages and typed with venom. F***CKU, I'm done. She hit send before her rational mind could stop her. The satisfying whoosh of the message leaving her screen gave her a brief moment of peace, until she noticed something. The name at the top of the chat wasn't Ethan Brokenheart. It was an unknown number. Her blood ran cold. Oh no, no. She must have tapped the wrong contact. Please be a dead number, she whispered. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown, watch your mouth, princess. Aria blinked. The message came with a red receipt and a profile picture, a sharp jawline, dark hair, and a glint of gold on a wristwatch. Whoever he was, he didn't sound amused. Aria, sorry? Wrong number. Unknown, you think you can curse at me and walk away? Her heart thudded. The tone wasn't angry, more like amused danger. Aria, seriously, I didn't mean to. My ex. Unknown, I don't care about your ex. You just made things interesting. Aria bit her lip. Who was this man? His words made her nervous, but a strange thrill crawled up her spine. She turned off her phone and buried it under a pillow. Forget it, she muttered, pacing her tiny apartment. Creepy guys text people all the time. But when she finally drifted to sleep, her phone buzzed again. Unknown, sweet dreams, princess. I'll see you soon. Her eyes shot open. See me soon? She didn't know that text had just caught the attention of Matteo Romano, the most feared name in the city's underworld. And for him, one wrong message was all the invitation he needed. Aria woke up to the shrill buzz of her phone vibrating on the nightstand. The clock read 2:13 a.m. She squinted, groggy and half asleep, until she saw the name flashing on the screen. Unknown caller. Her stomach dropped. She shouldn't answer. She really shouldn't. But curiosity, the kind that always got her in trouble, won. She swiped to accept. Hello, she whispered. A deep, smooth voice slid through the line, accented and dangerous. So, you're the little firecracker who told me to F***CK off. Her breath caught. I told you it was a mistake. He chuckled softly, the sound rich and low. You have a sharp tongue for someone so timid now. Tell me your name. Why would I do that? She snapped, trying to sound braver than she felt. Because I always find out what I want to know, princess, he said, dragging out the word like a threat and a promise all at once. She sat up, clutching the sheets. Look, I don't know who you think you are, but stop calling me. He cut her off. Matteo Romano. The name hit her like ice water. She'd heard it whispered at the restaurant where she worked. The man who owned half the city, who made people disappear with a phone call. Her throat went dry. The Mafia guy? Another quiet chuckle. Mafia boss, technically. But I prefer when women say my name with less fear. Her pulse pounded in her ears. This couldn't be real. She'd texted the Matteo Romano? Look, I'm sorry, she said quickly. It was an accident, I swear. I'll delete your number. Too late. His tone sharpened, a warning wrapped in velvet. You already have my attention. And once I'm interested, I don't walk away. The line went dead. Aria stared at her phone, trembling. Her heart told her to block the number. Her mind screamed run. But another message popped up seconds later. Matteo, see you soon, princess. Don't wear that attitude when I do. Her blood turned to fire and ice all at once. She had no idea he meant every word. The morning after the call, Aria tried convincing herself it was all some cruel joke. Maybe it wasn't the Matteo Romano. Maybe it was just a guy pretending. Still, she couldn't shake the unease curling in her stomach. By the time her evening shift started at La Bellissima, the city's most exclusive Italian restaurant, she had almost managed to forget about it. Almost. Aria, table 7 wants a bottle of red, her manager barked. She grabbed the order pad, forcing a smile. Work was her escape. No drama, no texts, no mysterious mafia men, just service and tips. But when she walked toward table 7, her steps faltered. He was there. Matteo Romano. The very same man from the photo on the number's profile. Impossibly handsome, dark eyes glinting like polished obsidian under the restaurant's golden lights. A tailored black suit clung to his powerful frame. Every movement radiated authority and danger. Their eyes met. Recognition flashed instantly. The corner of his lips curved into a slow, knowing smirk. Red wine, she managed to whisper, her voice trembling. He leaned back, studying her. So the little mouth from last night does exist. Aria's pulse thundered in her ears. Please sir, I'm working. Oh, I can see that, he interrupted smoothly. Tell me, do they know their waitress texts strangers at midnight? Her cheeks flushed scarlet. She set the wine bottle down, desperate to escape, but he caught her wrist, lightly, yet firmly enough to remind her who he was. Relax, he said softly. I'm not here to scare you. Just curious. About what? She snapped, yanking free. About the woman bold enough to curse a mafia boss and still show up in his city the next day. She froze. His tone wasn't mocking. Was admiring. Dangerous admiration. He stood, towering over her, slipping a crisp bill onto the table with a card beneath it. That's for the wine. And that, his gaze pinned hers, is my number. Don't make me text first again. When he left, the air felt too thin to breathe. Aria looked down. On the card, written in bold ink, were just 3 chilling words. Don't make me wait. Aria didn't call. She didn't text. She tore Matteo Romano's card in half the moment she got home and tossed it into the trash. But the next morning her phone buzzed. Matteo, you shouldn't ignore me, princess. Her chest tightened. She deleted the message without replying, then tried to focus on her morning classes. By evening she convinced herself it was over. Until she stepped outside the restaurant that night. 2 sleek black cars were parked by the curb. Men in suits stood beside them, and one of them, tall, cold-eyed, opened the door as if waiting for her. Miss Aria Moretti? He asked smoothly. Her heart stuttered. Who's asking? Mr. Romano. He requests your presence. Requests? She repeated, her voice shaking. The man's faint smile didn't reach his eyes. He doesn't like to repeat himself. She swallowed hard. Running would be useless, so she climbed into the car. The drive was silent, the city lights blurring past. When they finally stopped, she found herself outside an opulent mansion overlooking the sea. Guards stood at the gates. The doors opened before she could knock. Inside, Matteo waited, no suit jacket this time, sleeves rolled up, forearms dusted with tattoos. He looked more dangerous up close, more human too. You came, he said simply. I didn't have a choice, she muttered. He smirked. Everyone has a choice. But you made the right one. Aria folded her arms. What do you want from me? He stepped closer, invading her space until she could feel his heat. You disrespected me, he said quietly. In my world that has consequences. Fear prickled her skin. You're not serious. I'm offering a deal, Matteo interrupted. Work for me. 1 week. You'll assist me with some business, and we'll consider your little message forgiven. Her jaw dropped. You're blackmailing me into being your assistant? He smiled darkly. Call it redemption. Aria's pulse raced, torn between outrage and a dangerous curiosity. 1 week, she whispered. Matteo's eyes gleamed. Good girl? As the doors closed behind her, she realized something chilling. She hadn't stepped into a job. She'd stepped into his world. The next morning, Aria stood before a mansion that looked like it belonged in another universe. Expensive cars lined the driveway, men in suits guarded every door, and marble floors gleamed under golden light. She'd signed a confidentiality form, surrendered her phone, and was handed a clipboard by one of Matteo's assistants. It listed her new duties: deliver reports, answer calls, serve drinks. Simple things. Except nothing felt simple when the man in charge was Matteo Romano. He appeared from his office like he owned the air she breathed. You're punctual, he said, glancing her over. I like that. I'm not here to impress you, Aria replied sharply. Matteo's mouth twitched in amusement. Then why are you here, princess? Because you gave me no choice. He stepped closer, his voice low. Everyone has a choice. You chose me. Her cheeks flushed, but she didn't back down. He liked that, she could see it in his smirk as he handed her a stack of files. Bring these to my study. Don't get lost. The study turned out to be larger than her entire apartment. She tried to focus on the papers, but Matteo's scent, cologne and smoke, lingered everywhere. By noon she'd made 3 mistakes, spilled his coffee once, and snapped back when he teased her about blushing. You've got fire, he said, leaning against his desk. Most people tremble when I walk into a room. Maybe they should, she muttered. He laughed softly. But not you. Later that evening, Matteo took her to his private club, Illinois Sato, for a meeting. The place pulsed with wealth and danger. Aria stayed close, pretending not to notice how everyone bowed slightly when he passed. When a drunk man grabbed her wrist near the bar, Matteo moved before she could react. In one swift motion, the man's hand was twisted behind his back. "She's with me," Matteo warned, voice like ice. "Touch her again and you lose the hand." The man stumbled away in terror. Matteo turned to Aria, eyes still blazing. "You're shaking," he said softly. "Don't." Her heart thundered. "You didn't have to do that." He leaned in close, his breath warm against her ear. "Yes, I did." Aria couldn't sleep that night. The image of Matteo slamming that man's hand onto the bar replayed in her mind like a scene burned into her memory. The way his eyes had turned dark, almost feral, wasn't something she could forget. The next morning she found him in the garden, sitting on a stone bench, cigarette between his fingers. The early light softened his sharp edges, but only a little. "You don't sleep much, do you?" she asked carefully. He looked up, a ghost of a smile curving his lips. "Sleep is for people who feel safe. Do you?" Matteo let out a quiet laugh. "In my world, safety is a myth." Aria hesitated, noticing a faint line along his forearm, a scar deep and uneven. She frowned. "That looks bad. What happened?" He glanced at it, then at her. "A reminder." "Of what?" "That trust gets you killed." For a moment, his voice was stripped of its usual arrogance. There was something raw there, loneliness, maybe regret. Aria took a seat beside him without thinking. "You don't have to keep acting like a villain, you know," she said softly. His brow lifted. "And what am I supposed to act like?" "Human." He studied her face for a long time before extinguishing the cigarette. "Careful, princess. If you keep talking like that, I might start believing you actually care." "I don't," she lied quickly. He chuckled, but his eyes stayed on her. "You should be afraid of me." "Maybe I am," she whispered. "But I'm more afraid of what's behind those walls you've built." Something in him shifted then, something dangerous and intimate. He reached out, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "You ask too many questions. And you never answer any," she murmured. Their eyes locked. The air between them tightened, heavy with heat and unsaid things. For the first time, Matteo didn't look like a monster. He looked like a man who'd forgotten how to be anything else. He pulled away first, clearing his throat. "Go inside, Aria. Before I forget, I'm trying to behave." But as she walked back to the mansion, her heart knew. He already had. By midweek, Aria had started to understand Matteo's world. The endless phone calls, the men in dark suits, the constant feeling that danger was always 2 steps away. And yet, she was beginning to see the cracks in his armor. He wasn't just a mafia boss. He was a man carrying ghosts. But peace never lasted long around Matteo Romano. That evening, as she organized his files in the study, her phone, finally returned after days of confiscation, buzzed with a new message. The name on the screen froze her blood. "Ethan. Ethan. Still pretending you're too good for me? I know where you work now. Bet your new boss would love to see these." Attached were screenshots, old texts, flirty photos, late-night conversations she'd long forgotten. Ethan was threatening her, using her past as a weapon. Aria's hand shook. He wouldn't dare, would he? Before she could think, the office door opened. Matteo's voice cut through the silence. "You're trembling. What happened?" She tried to hide her phone, but he caught her wrist gently. His gaze flicked over the screen, and darkened. "Who is he?" he asked, too calm. "No one. Just someone I used to." Matteo's jaw tightened. "Used to what?" "Date," she admitted. "He's angry I left him. He's just trying to scare me." Matteo took a deep breath, his control cracking. "By threatening you? Please, Matteo, don't." He was already on his phone, barking orders in Italian. His men moved like shadows. Within seconds she realized he was sending people after Ethan. "Matteo, stop," she cried, grabbing his arm. "You can't solve everything with violence." He turned to her, eyes blazing with something fierce and possessive. "No one threatens what's mine." Her heart stopped. "What's mine?" The words hung between them, too heavy, too real. She should have been terrified, but instead she felt her chest ache with something she didn't want to name. Matteo's expression softened just slightly. "He won't bother you again," he murmured. "I promise." And though part of her wanted to scream, another part whispered the truth she feared most. She believed him. The next night felt eerily calm, too calm. Matteo was away handling business, and the mansion seemed to breathe differently without him. Aria stayed in the library pretending to read, but her thoughts kept drifting back to his last words. "No one threatens what's mine." She hated how those words made her pulse race. Just past midnight the power flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went black. Marco, she called, recognizing one of Matteo's guards. No answer. The silence was thick, unnatural. Then came the sound, boots against marble. Before she could scream, a gloved hand covered her mouth. A rough voice hissed, "Quiet, Bella. The boss isn't here to protect you tonight." Her world spun. Two men dragged her toward the back exit. She kicked, bit, fought, but one blow to the head sent her vision reeling. When she woke, her wrists were bound, and the air smelled of gasoline and metal. She was in a warehouse, dimly lit by swinging bulbs. The men who'd taken her wore masks, but one leaned close enough for her to catch the accent. Russian. Matteo's rivals. "Matteo Romano cost us money," the leader growled. "He'll come for you. And when he does, he'll lose everything." Aria's heart pounded. She'd been bait. A message. Hours passed. Then, from outside came the sound of engines, dozens of them. The ground vibrated with the roar of approaching cars. The masked men readied their guns, but the moment the door exploded inward, chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouts, smoke. And through the haze, he appeared, Matteo, black coat whipping behind him, fury in every line of his body. He moved like vengeance itself. Within minutes, silence fell. The only sound was Aria's ragged breathing. He dropped his gun and rushed to her side, hands shaking as he untied her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You came?" He cupped her face, his voice hoarse. "Of course I came. I told you no one touches what's mine." Aria buried her face against his chest, hearing his heartbeat thunder beneath the blood-stained shirt. In that moment she understood. His world was chaos, but inside it she was no longer invisible. She was his. Back at the mansion, the storm outside raged as violently as the one inside Matteo's chest. Aria sat wrapped in a blanket on the couch, still trembling. Every time thunder cracked, she flinched and Matteo's jaw tightened a little more. "You shouldn't have come for me," she whispered finally. "You could have been killed." He leaned against the wall, shirt still streaked with blood. "You think I'd let them take you? I'm not worth that kind of risk." Matteo's gaze darkened. He moved closer, kneeling in front of her. "Don't say that again." Aria swallowed, her eyes meeting his. "Why, Matteo? Why do you care so much? I was just a girl who texted you by mistake." He gave a low, humorless laugh. "You think it's that simple?" His voice dropped. "Do you have any idea what it's like to live surrounded by liars, killers, snakes? Then suddenly, one person walks in and talks back to me like I'm just a man?" Her breath caught. "You look at me without fear," he continued. "You make me feel human again. And that terrifies me." The air between them crackled. Aria reached up, fingertips brushing a cut on his cheek. "You hide behind this monster everyone sees, but I know better now." He caught her wrist gently, pressing her palm against his heart. "This is the only part of me they can't touch," he said. "And somehow you found it." For a moment, neither moved. The world outside faded to nothing but the rain and their uneven breaths. "Matteo," she whispered, "I don't know what this is between us. I shouldn't feel this way." He smiled faintly, eyes burning into hers. Then stopped thinking. His lips brushed hers, soft at first, almost hesitant. Then deeper, desperate, as if he'd waited his entire life for someone to touch him like he wasn't made of sin. When they finally broke apart, Aria was trembling again, but not from fear. Matteo's voice was rough. "You could still walk away, Aria. Tell me now and I'll let you go." Her reply came barely above a whisper. "I don't want to." Days passed after the night of her rescue. Matteo had ordered new security, reinforced the mansion and, much to Aria's annoyance, assigned 2 men to follow her everywhere. But what unsettled her most wasn't the guards. It was the silence between them. Since their kiss, Matteo had grown distant, colder, quieter. Meetings replaced conversations. Commands replaced glances. It was as if he was building walls again, shutting her out to protect them both. One evening, Aria found him alone in his office, staring out at the dark sea. The faint light from his phone illuminated his sharp features. "You're avoiding me," she said softly. He didn't turn. "You should go back to your life, Aria. Finish school. Forget this." "Forget you?" He exhaled, a tired, broken sound. "People who stay near me get hurt. You saw what happened. I can't promise you safety." Aria stepped closer. "I never asked you to." Finally he faced her. "You deserve peace, not a man who bleeds for a living." "And yet," she said, eyes steady on his, "you're the only one who ever made me feel alive." The silence between them cracked. Matteo reached for her hand, but instead of taking it, he pulled his phone from his pocket and typed something quickly. Seconds later, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Matteo, still think you've got a filthy mouth, princess? She looked up, half laughing through the tears threatening to fall. You remember? He smirked faintly. Hard to forget the message that ruined my peace. Aria smiled, taking the phone from his hand. She typed back without hesitation. Aria, only for you. Matteo's eyes softened. The darkness around him seemed to fade as he whispered, Careful, Aria. I might believe you. Then believe me, she replied, stepping into his arms. Because I'm not running anymore. His hand slid to her waist, his forehead resting against hers. Neither am I. Outside, the sea crashed against the cliffs, wild and relentless. Just like the love that had started with one wrong message and turned into something neither of them could undo. And somewhere between danger and desire, Aria finally realized the truth. The message that was meant to end something had begun everything.